Hey everybody, I'm Mike Johnson, and this is the Success Estate Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is episode number 1. I'm super excited to bring you so much information in a small amount of time that I believe will be helpful for you. So today's first podcast, I'm going to just give a lot of background on me, my story, lots of different things. So let's get started, right? So my name is Mike Johnson. I am in Longview, Texas. I serve all of East Texas as a real estate agent. My broker is Coldwell Banker Linhart Properties right here in Longview, Texas, who I've been serving with for 3 years now. Coming up on 4 years. It's kind of hard to believe that I'm coming around on 4 years now. Now, I believe that this show will be helpful for anybody watching. But especially each episode is going to be tailored to bring confidence to anybody that's looking to sell out, buy in, invest in, or stay in a home, right? So anybody, no matter where you are, I think this information will be helpful for you. Some of the information will be specific to our area, but most of the information will be helpful for no matter where you are in the country. So with that being said, a little bit about my thought process on being an agent and why I am an agent. I believe today my story will kind of give you an idea of where I'm coming from and why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I hope also too that it will give you some inspiration in whatever your aspirations are. So I believe that housing is fundamental to legacy building. And so I actually had an opportunity to buy a house with my wife about 5 years ago. But before I get ahead of myself, let me go way back and kind of talk about why all of this led into my purpose, right? Again, my purpose here for this podcast is to bring you information that's going to hopefully build your confidence no matter what you're trying to do. If you're trying to sell, buy, invest, or stay. I think that is something that's glossed over a lot of times, is staying in your home, right, after you buy a house. I tell everybody my same spiel once we complete a transaction or even getting started in the initial conversations. I don't actually sell houses. That's just not my thing. I started off selling houses, but then I realized that there's just way too much money invested for me to try to talk somebody into a house. So, how do I make money in this business? Well, I empower people's decisions with information. That's what it is. At the end of the day, I serve you. I want to make sure that you have the right information so that you feel comfortable and confident making a decision, whatever that decision may be. So with that being said, a little bit of background on me and how my story led into my purpose here as an agent in this season. I born and raised here in Longview, Texas. I'm a Lobo. I graduated in 2007 and was able to, on a partial scholarship, go play ball in a couple different places. I wanted to go way up north, but I never got farther than Lufkin, Texas. Lufkin allowed me to go from there as a stepping stone over to the University of Texas at Tyler. So I always stayed in East Texas. I've always been in East Texas. So I'm an East Texas kid through and through. Lobo green is what I bleed. But I serve every area here. After college, I actually spent a little time in the oil field. And during that time period, I actually reignited a flame, or I guess it was my flame that was reignited with my now spouse, and decided I was ready to leave the oil field behind. I didn't want to move down south, so I actually finished my college education, left the money, got the education, got started doing some work at different places like Enterprise Rent-A-Car and Laterno here in Longview. After that, though, I unfortunately made some bad decisions, in a bit of honesty. I made some bad decisions that led to eventually me getting let go from my job. At that time, we had been married for about 3 years, and we actually had decided to buy a house about a year prior to, we bought the house earlier that same year that I was let go. Funny story on that. I'll talk about this more later. But my wife and I actually, right when we were living in a duplex in the Pine Tree area, and when we decided that, hey, we were ready to buy a house and because we were wanting to start a family of our own, we actually gave a 30-day notice to our landlord and turned around like the next week and found out we were pregnant as we were moving into our my father-in-law's Alicia's parents' house. So now, fast forward, I am the father of 3 children and the husband to one beautiful, wonderful, amazing woman named Alicia. And you'll get a chance to see and hear more from her later on. She's, of course, my support system. And also, too, you know, she actually came up with the name of this podcast. I had a different podcast name, and we'll talk about that, I'm sure, later. But all in all, coming back, now that I've done my flashback, let's come back forward to the story, right? So I lose my job. I'm looking for work here in the area, and I actually was I played basketball growing up. So I turned around and started doing some training, helping a young lady here in town, and her father actually owned a construction company. And this is the second house that we were working on. And I had a task of laying grass, these grass squares. I was laying them. And I remember one day I was almost to the end. I looked up at this house and I said, you know what? I can sell these. I really had no idea what it took in order to become an agent. We watched a lot of HGTV, like a lot of people. It actually skewed some of the way that we bought our house. And I decided in that moment, so, well, let me see what it would take. And, you know, honestly, it really wasn't that hard of a field to enter. I had to study. There were some things that were going on that made studying not as easy or convenient, but was necessary. But I actually finished my license within probably 6 months, finished studying for my license, took my state and my national exams, and all of a sudden, May 31st of 2017, I became a real estate agent. That's only one part. You know, I really enjoyed the process of learning, you know, about real estate agents and what the job entails. But I kind of, when I step back and actually think about it, I actually was spurred on by several different things. So I told you I grew up here in Longview. We grew up in what's called a single family home, which is common. Any house that you buy that is not a manufactured home is probably going to be a single family home, or as long as it's not a townhouse or something like that. Well, we grew up in a small single family home. My 2 siblings and both my parents. The land that the house was built on actually was given to my dad by his father. So this was family land. The house was built up instead of bought outright, already built. And it was just a different experience. We weren't poor, but we didn't have a whole lot. So it's something that I knew that I wanted to have a part of my life moving forward, which was to have a family, be in tune with my wife, to have a family, and then also to purchase a home that they could grow up in. But the overall experience of buying a house was totally different than what my parents experienced. Neither one is right or wrong. They were just different. And a lot of the guys that I grew up with, a lot of them were not their parents were not homeowners. Right? So my family was fortunate. I consider my family fortunate. A lot of the friends that I had that looked like me, black young brothers, and even some of the young ladies, I didn't know as many of their situations, but most of them that I knew of, they rented. So home ownership was not something that I was accustomed to seeing in the culture. Now, this may have been specifically for me and my friends, but that's what I knew. So when it came time to buy a home, going back forward, came time to buy a home, I actually made some pretty bad mistakes that ended up, you know, kind of helping me to coach people as I became an agent. My wife and I, when we moved out, we had a goal of saving $10,000. I don't know why. $10,000. You know, at that time, the common knowledge was still you need 20% down on a house. You know, $10,000, if I actually would have thought about it, would not even been 20% on $100,000 home. You know, so my aspirations were a little bigger than my ability to plan based on my understanding. When I recognized that day that I was looking at that house thinking, hey, I could sell these houses. When I recognized when I was messaging people in my sphere when I first started, people that, you know, had talked about buying a house but didn't know what it took. When I recognized, you know, some of the areas that I frequented often, just going to see my friends and the spaces that they lived in, it was just not, it was not a place, they were not places where people would go and find knowledge about home ownership and why it was important and maintaining those things. But all those things are important when you buy a house. So we bought a house, and I'm proud of the house that we bought. I sat in front of our house when we got under contract. I sat in front of our house for about every day of the 30-day contract, about all except one day, for about 30 minutes every day after work. I would just sit there and look at it. And it's so crazy because we actually ended up living right in front of a cop. The house that I was parking in front of was as a local police officer here in Longview. And I'm just so glad he never came out and saw me. He probably would have thought that I was up to no good. But all of that leads to, you know, yes, I was proud of being able to purchase the house, but I recognized that there were some bumps along the way that I could help other people avoid. So we tried to save $10,000. We didn't make it. We did find other avenues to get our down payment and closing costs, which are important, and I utilize those today when I'm talking to people. But there were several mishaps and mistakes that I made when purchasing a house, and it's helped me when now being on the agent side, because of course, like I told you before, I don't actually sell houses. I just inform and empower your decisions with information to give you confidence. So those things became vital and important to me and for me as I decided to become an agent. Well, not necessarily as I decided to become an agent, but as I was trying to figure out how to grow a business as now a independent contractor or a self-employed person. I had to go and find the money, you know, and it was a really big step for me. It was scary. As a matter of fact, I worked part-time for the first 2 3/4 years. In year number 3, November of 2019, I decided to go full time, which it was funny because 3 or 4 months after that, pandemic hits, everything slows down. I was so nervous that I wasn't going to have any work. But sure enough, God has been faithful. There have been a lot of opportunities out here to purchase and to sell. So I say all that because at the end of it all, my goal and what I feel is my duty as a real estate agent and creating this podcast and creating videos and things like that. One is because I just can't talk to everybody all the time. You know, if I was a single man, I probably would work from sun up to past sundown. You know, but you know, I have a family. There are different things going on, but people still need information. You still need to know what it takes to buy a house, to feel confident in doing that. So this podcast, the videos, everything that I do is really to inform and empower your decision. I know I've said that. I'm gonna say it again and again and again. You'll always hear me say that, because at the end of the day, when it comes to especially minority men. Especially black men, let me say that. Especially black men. I have a desire to see more young black men step up to the plate and buy houses, because I do feel like it's foundational to legacies or wealth building. I look at our country as I started to read and research and understand the business that I was in. I realized, you know, going all the way back even to, you know, back when the Oregon settlement was first starting, you know, people were given like tens of acres for free, dozens of acres, that may be better, dozens of acres for free to come and settle and start here. That land, later on, some people would buy it for like $2 an acre, up to like 50 acres. I mean, you think about what happens now, a house, if you buy a house, people think that the numbers nationally say that a house will appreciate about 5% every year. Imagine going all the way back to, I believe those were the 1800s when I believe it was the 1800s when that Oregon tract was settled. I mean, think about how much that's worth now. And for people to be able to take that and pass it on to their family. Now, it doesn't matter if you decide, hey, I want to stay in it. This land, these buildings are worth way more than when great-great-great-great-great-grandfather bought them, and they stayed in the family. You could stay there for free. Around here now, I don't think you could rent a place, a good, decent 3-bedroom, 2-bath home for under $900. I talk to people all the time. I say, think about what you could do with an extra $900 every month. The businesses you could start, the ventures that you could go after, knowing that you could recoup that money if something were not to go wrong. So as a man who recognizes the need for more men to step up and do things that'll be beneficial, especially in my community, because I am a black man. I'm a black man, and I recognize issues and things like that in my community, and I desire to see those wrongs righted, or however I should say that, because I want to see a better future for the black community here in Longview. Because if the black community improves, the whole community improves. That goes for every sect. I'm not a white man, so I can't say, for the white community to improve, everything improves. I'm not Hispanic or Latinx, however that is best said. But every community, if it improves, the whole community improves. And we're one nation. This is a turbulent time, but we're one nation. Right now, I feel like it's my duty to get out and inform people so that they can make empowered decisions, so they can make confident decisions. So with that being said, like I said, I've been doing this now. I'm coming up on 4 years. I have loved doing this. I finally stepped out to be bold and to be brave and do this full time in November of 2019. And 2020 was my best year. I was able to focus attention and was able to serve people in this community. And I've been appreciative that, as far as I know, my name has been good. The work that I've done for people have appreciated. And I just want to continue that. So I'm finding new ways to figure out how to make these decisions easier. I think that this is a great avenue for me to take. So I look forward to walking with you and letting you talk to some wonderful people. Most of the time you're not going to hear from me. Right? I do my own separate videos. Most of the time you're not going to hear from me. My job now is going to be connect you with people who are working in fields that will directly impact the way you buy, the way you sell, the way you own, the way you invest, all those things. I want to be able to put you in contact and connect with people that are going to be beneficial for you. So next week, I'm looking forward, over the weeks to come, we've got several lenders. We've got a couple of different agencies that help you to purchase. And then also some people that will come in and talk to you about the home ownership side and different little things that it takes in order to own a home. It's so important, and I'll say this one stat. It's so important because the national average is about 1% of the purchase price of your home you'll end up spending on your home to maintain it throughout the year. Let's say a lot of people think $150,000. And if that's so, I mean, you could think about $1,500 going towards your home every month for maintenance, different little things to make sure that it's the best property that it can be. Those things are important. I want to put people in front of you that will be able to give you guidance, give you instruction on how to best maintain the beautiful home you purchased. With that being said, next week, please tune in. I will have the beautiful, wonderful, amazing Miss Alicia Johnson on to Mrs. Let me say that better, Mrs. Alicia Johnson on to talk about the journey of home ownership and the partnerships that many people take in buying as a married couple, or lots of different. There's gonna be lots of different things. I'm gonna be open and honest. I know Alicia will be open and honest, so it's gonna be a great show. What I need for you to do, right? What I need for you to do after listening to this, after watching this, is to subscribe. I also need you to like, and I also need you to share. Those three things will be amazing for me. If you found my story entertaining, you're gonna find even more entertaining next week when we talk about together, my wife and I, some of the hiccups that I made, some of the hiccups that we've made, some of the things that we've experienced. You're gonna find it really entertaining, and I think you're gonna be able to gain some great insight from it. So with that, like I said, if you have any questions, please comment below. We can talk. You can instant message me, private message me, not instant message. What is this, AOL? You can private message me, send me an email at thejohnsonwayrealty@gmail.com, or give me a call, 903-806-6905. I'm always looking for topics, always looking for suggestions. If there's something that you would like to hear, it may not make it on the season 1, but if I can put it in the season 2, I will definitely do that. Thank you for your attention. This is the Success Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Johnson, and I thank you so much because I believe this is going to help you to become a more confident buyer, seller, owner, or investor. Thank you so much, and have a great one. We'll see you next week.